Shock, a horrifying hostage crisis sparked by a crazed gunman. Also ahead on Nightcast, they're weapons of a war going on right here in the valley. But these guns are off the battlefield tonight.
It's a scene taken right out of The Wizard of Oz, but this is not Kansas. It's Northern California getting clobbered with more than one of these funnel clouds. Good evening, I'm Sharon Ito.
And I'm Tom Curran. Those stories and much more straight ahead on Nightcast.
Live from Channel 31, Northern California's first primetime newscast, Tom Curran, Sharon Ito, weather with Pat Evans, and sports with Grant Napier. This is 31 News Nightcast.
That's the corner of Fair Oaks and Fulton, 1955.
It's back to the future for the valley, and it's flooding.
But an extensive fix is underway to keep us from drowning in our past. Good evening. More on our water situation in a moment.
But first for you tonight, we have a story of horror in a Sacramento high-rise. A Manteca man named Jim Ray Holloway storms an office building loaded with weapons before being shot by SWAT team members. He died later at the UC Davis Medical Center. The former CHP officer took 7 hostages, apparently because he was upset over a tax dispute. But it seems he was in the wrong building. And 31 Steve Lyle has more on that.
This is how it ended for Jim Ray Holloway. The SWAT team shooting to kill on the 18th floor of the Board of Equalization building downtown. He first arrived flashing a police badge at the security officer, but he was turned away. So he returned with 3 guns and 200 rounds of ammunition.
I thought he was leaving, and all he did was go out in the van and pick up a couple of guns, and I guess he was going to shoot all the windows out if he had to get in there.
Rome was handcuffed by Holloway before he was left alone. The gunman moving to an elevator and ending up on the 18th floor. Meanwhile, shaken Board of Equalization employees were evacuating as quickly and as safely as possible.
And this guy was absolutely, I guess, a psycho, crazy. And we just moved in our building.
But not everyone could leave.
And I had all the people do the same thing on every floor. They barricaded the doors and locked the doors.
Other witnesses say the gunman got off the elevator at the 18th floor, guns displayed prominently, and said he was looking for a man named Owen McCarty. The Board of Equalization says it has a retired employee named Oliver McCarty, but no knowledge of a connection. Holloway had a list of people he wanted to see. None of them worked for the Board of Equalization.
He was asking them to bring certain people to him, and those people work at another agency, so get franchise tax instead of State Board of Equalization.
The officers determined that the situation was extremely dangerous. They requested permission to use deadly force. That clearance was given.
Officers firing 17 shots you could hear from the street far below. You can actually see the smoke and the bullet holes that remain. Police say Holloway declared he had no intention of being taken alive, and he aimed a weapon at officers to drive the point home. Steve Lyle, 31 News, Nightcast.
Again, none of the hostages in the ordeal was injured, but Sacramento fire officials say there are 6 different reports of stress-related problems, including women who went into premature labor. Now, we have much more ahead on this hostage ordeal in downtown Sacramento. Coming up, just what is Jim Ray Holloway's background? Well, 31 uncovered some shocking information on this alleged triggerman's past and his real motive behind today's bizarre hostage taking. Plus, we'll show you some scary scenes from the horrifying tragedy, raw pictures as the crisis
stormed into the Board of Equalization building on N Street. Holloway was packing 3 guns, 200 rounds of ammunition, ready for war. He took a group of people hostage on the 18th floor. SWAT team members shot and killed the gunman after he pointed a gun at them. Holloway shouted he wouldn't be taken alive.
The suspect fired no shots at our officers. All the rounds that were fired on the 18th floor were fired by our officers. We fired approximately 17 to 18 rounds.
The hostages were not hurt and no building workers were wounded. Everyone getting out okay. Police say Holloway had a gripe about his taxes and may have gone to the wrong building. That's the only motive they have right now.
Now, today's desperate action has everyone asking just who is Jim Ray Holloway. And tonight we're learning more about the man. Holloway is a retired police officer. He spent 6 years as a California highway patrolman. He left the division in 1972 for a position with the State Department of Alcohol and Beverage Control. He worked there until 1985. Holloway has a home in Stockton and has lived in Manteca. Little else is known of the man tonight. Now, to get a better perspective of the terror in that building, we're going to let you watch the drama as it unfolded without any narration. Here's a Raw News special report, a close look at an office worker's ultimate nightmare.
The third floor evacuating now.
Please go to Crocker Park right now.
We had a 22 and a duffel bag hanging out on both sides and a shotgun. And he just walked in and hit the security door and it wouldn't open, and then he lifted up the shotgun and pointed it at the security cage.
I thought that he was leaving peacefully. Then he decided to turn around and pull that gun on me there and handcuff me. Told me he was going in the building with or without my permission.
The state police coming at me. Next thing I know, I see my coworker across the street running for his life. Like, oh my God, that's our coworker. I said, this is bad. This is not good.
The police department responded. We sent a SWAT unit to the 18th floor. We were able to locate the suspect. He was found with a shotgun in his lap, a handgun in his hand. The officers determined that the situation was extremely dangerous. They requested permission to use deadly force. Clearance was given. They shot the suspect. He has been shot 2 to 3 times. He was wounded critically. We don't know his medical status at this point. He's been transferred to Sacramento Medical Center.
Gentlemen, please. Thank you.
Of course, all of this made even more terrifying by the fact that a lot of people in the valley still remember so vividly the Good Guys hostage situation there. Those memories still very fresh, making today seem even more unreal.
It's going to be tough going back to work on Monday for those folks.
Absolutely.
Right.
But they will have to do just that.
Well, in other news, that standoff in Texas is no closer to ending tonight. Frustrated federal agents say they're getting